Madeira Companies, welcome back to Touch Base. We are continuing this journey as we discuss how the different departments work together. If you remember last week's or the last video that we've done, we've kind of talked through how we get properties, what it looks like to care for the specific physical properties. And now I'm excited to kind of turn the conversation towards the people that make the properties work, the people that make the whole thing run. And I think one of the things we've kind of talked about and thought about, and as we were putting this together, was that no matter how beautiful a property is, no matter how great it is, like the people make it. And this group is here basically to represent the people and to kind of talk about operations, both on site and then also kind of behind the scenes, folks that often don't get a chance to have their names called, or departments that don't always get thought of when we think about property operations. And so we're excited to have you guys in for this. We're talking about community and one of our values and what that means to us and how we work together. And so hopefully we learn some things and have some fun and laugh a little bit maybe. So I actually want to go around the table here a little bit and do a quick bio so that you can kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit how you got to Madeira, and then actually I'm going to start with Andrew because this is Andrew's first time on camera with us.
On camera, yes.
So
yes, we are breaking company policy.
okay.
I think our ratings are going to go way up.
Yeah, agreed.
The accounting department, I think they're going to be jazzed to see this.
Yeah. So Andrew, tell us about yourself, kind of how you got to Madeira, things that you do for us, and then anything personal you want to throw in there.
Yeah, can do. Chief Accounting Officer for Madeira. Been with the company for 5 years. Came in July 10th of 2017. Remember the exact date because was part of a financial firm previous to that, was in banking prior to that, and was just looking for a change. Fortunately, through some friends, they knew Dave Marcinkowski, right? I think that's how most everybody gets hired, is Dave Marcinkowski. And a friend got in touch with him and just said, hey, a guy's looking for, this position. And so it worked out where Madeira was in, that stage of their company. Dave was looking to get into another role. And so, had that accounting position open. And I will say the last 5 years, obviously we have seen a lot of change with Madeira. We went from truly just being the real estate company at that time, just a property management company, to obviously we are now Madeira Companies. And there's a lot of companies going, and so it's exciting. Been in Lubbock my entire life, have a family. My wife Susan, have 3 kiddos, and so that's pretty much what we spend our time doing, chasing the kids in the evenings to all the events.
Yeah, I will say Andrew is one of my more favorite people at the Madeira Companies because we can talk soccer, and I don't get to talk soccer with a lot of West Texas people sometimes.
I mean, I haven't played in a few years, but we can still talk soccer.
Yeah, it's like a foreign language.
Yeah. It's not just West Texas. I think that's just the South, period.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably
kind of a football town, but we like to speak the football. So
That's right. The real football. Katie, you're up next.
All right.
Tell us about yourself.
Sure. I was born and raised in Houston, and it's the capital of humidity and also excellent food.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. I am a dog mom of Lily. She just turned 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've been with Madeira for 2 years coming this July, and it's been an amazing experience. Prior to that, I worked for BH Management, and I was with them for 8 years, and then HRP, and I was with them for 10 years.
Wow.
So I have
hopefully
a long
loyal.
run. I'm not loyal at all. So we're gonna, So looks like I have a lot of years to go here with Madeira. Hopefully retire here. So I'm a huge Astros fan.
Do you own your own trash can?
I've made that joke so many times.
I'm totally kidding. I'm an Astros fan.
they won again.
Yeah, so I'm a huge Astros fan. In fact, I think my first couple of months I had to call Dave and say, I'm not going to make it to a meeting because we're in the World Series and I just can't come. Like, I need to be home, and we're watching
I totally
the games.
Totally
And that's what's great about Madeira is he was like, I get it. We're he's into sports too, and he totally understood.
Yeah.
I think Cayce and Melissa picked on me a little bit, and I was like, suck it up, too bad.
But, well, being from Dallas, I'm not
Yeah,
really
I know,
Astros,
you're like,
but, we understood, Katie.
Yeah.
When are the Rangers going to make it to the World
Yeah.
Series?
Yeah, so I have 9 nieces and nephews who are in sports too. So I'm not only a sports fan in the big leagues, but I'm also a sports fan for the kiddos. So have a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fun. Awesome. Cayce?
Cayce Coon, and I am Katie's counterpart in DFW. And wife, 2 little kiddos. I am doing something new. I'm venturing to be a T-ball coach right now for my just turned 4-year-old son. So I've started the scariest leadership role of my entire life. We're just one practice in, and I can already say that. But love my family, sports, concerts. And obviously Madeira, I am on year 13. This will be 13 this year with Madeira. I've been in the industry for a while. This is my first big girl job. But I really grew up in the industry in Madeira. When I joined Madeira, I started the cycle over, if you will, and came in as a leasing agent, just thinking it'd be kind of a temporary gig for me while I looked for something else. And it worked out. I didn't look for anything else. So here I am.
Well, and you both are great stories of people who made careers out of this industry and made great careers out of this industry. And I think that's another part of today. Hopefully we can maybe at least champion that a little bit more.
Oh yeah, and we're with a vast majority. There's a lot that do, so I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, go for it.
Hey, I'm Dave Gilles.
Yeah.
And I'm excited today because I've got 3 of my favorite people here with me. And when I look at these 3 people and you look at the people that they lead, it's the majority of the Madeira companies in their organization. So of the 600 people, you guys represent well over half of that, just the 3 of you. And on days, I'm sure that's a daunting task. But most days, I know you're super proud of your teams and what they do. They are the face of Madeira. They are Madeira to our residents. It's just super proud of these leaders because they truly are Madeira to their employees, who are Madeira to all of our residents.
Let's talk about operations on property. So I'm going to go to you two with this. And so talk to me about, when you think about the roles on property, we got people, Andrew, you mentioned a minute ago, we got other companies that are watching this, other people, and they don't know the ins and outs, nuances of all the things that happen when it comes to operations. And so when you think about kind of the hierarchy or kind of the different specific jobs on property, who's doing what, how does that team work together, what does it look like when you see a good team? Talk me through some of the basics and foundational stuff there.
It's kind of funny to me because the managers oversee it. We have to have that work out, but every role is kind of the leader over their niche, their piece of the puzzle, if you will. So our leasing folks, they're managing every aspect of that themselves. They're leading themselves through that. Assistant managers typically are fully into the bookkeeping role, and they wear a ton of hats because they'll step into the leasing role, then they'll also step into the acting manager role. And then same thing with the service teams.
Yeah.
We have our supervisors outside. They're leading that entire team, and our tech ones, tech twos, they're owning their piece of it, getting these units looking sharp for the next person. You have the techs showing face for the residents, running all the tickets. So they really do kind of each lead their own piece of the puzzle, which is kind of unique.
Yeah, another thing which is really great about our industry is, you may have your role, let's say you're an assistant manager or you're a resident service manager. I have folks on my team that are not scared to step in and do other folks' role. Like they will go and pick up trash, and they will go and help do a make ready if they have to, or clean an apartment. And so that's just really the cohesiveness of the team aspect of this business.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit more, and then Dave, I know you have great expertise in like team building and culture and different things like that as well. But talk about that a little more, like when you see it working well on property and you see everybody fulfilling their role in the right way. What does that look like? What do you?
Well, I try not to mess that up. So I typically just kind of look from afar, and I'm like, yeah. To me, they communicate well, but they don't have to communicate as frequently, if that makes sense. We call them internally our well-oiled machines.
Yeah.
It takes time. It's the right personalities, the right skill sets, which is typically opposite skill sets. And so they're balancing each other within that asset. And they kind of know what the other one's going to do. We joke when it comes to our maintenance supervisors and our managers inside that it's like a married couple at times.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like mom and dad. And so we all know what that looks like for the most part, right? Mom's gonna handle this, I already know dad's got this, we're gonna catch up later and make sure dinner's served on time situation. And those good ones, they do it faster than most, and there's not a lot of communication up front for that.
Yeah, and I think too, one of the biggest things is having respect for each other at the team, at the site level. Our folks want to all achieve the same goal at the end of the day, and when they have respect for each other, those are really the good teams that power through. And
Yeah, it's funny you use the word. What does that look like? And for me, it's what does that feel like?
yeah,
Okay.
You can absolutely feel when a team is cohesive and things are happening. You don't have to see it; you can feel it. It's a different vibe. Our prospects see it. Our residents feel it. Everyone feels that. It is, it's respect. I think at a deeper level, when you really get there, it's at a really deep trust level, which means I trust you. You're going to do your job. I'm going to do my job. I'm not going to have to check up on you all the time. I trust if I give you something that I can't handle or it's not my expertise, you're not going to use that against me. You're going to compliment me. So it's a really deep, when it's right, it's that trust level.
Well, and everything I've gotten a chance to see over the last couple of years of being around is that to work on property, you need to be a self-starter. Like if you're waiting on anybody to tell you what to do, we're getting behind because of how
absolutely.
fast
Yeah.
things move on property.
their
Correct
first
me.
day, someone's going to walk in and say, I need to look at an apartment, I need an apartment. And they're going to be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you look at the needs on property, how do you assess needs, especially when it comes to like staffing? Like I'm just wondering, like, what are you guys thinking about when you think, okay, this property could use another person in this? What does it look like to take care of needs? How do you assess needs and then even staff for that? What does that look like?
For me, every property is different. Not only what we do with them, some of them are going to be in an active rehab. Some of them is a stabilized asset. We're in different demographics and neighborhoods. And so for me, the property, for starters, on how do I staff that, the property is really going to indicate to me what I'm looking for. Is it in a highly competitive area? So I need a super competitive salesperson up front that's going to be able to beat the competition and get everybody to move in with us.
We'll look at the particular asset and make sure that we have the skill we most need in someone on that team. And I think we had to really challenge ourselves. Do we have that right skill? If we don't, can we teach it? And if we can't, can we recruit it? And so we've done a lot of that over the last year. I mean, Domain Lofts was our first core asset, and from there we've bought a lot of core assets, and we've evolved as an organization. And as Tina said in the last podcast, she's been impressed with how that's evolved. And it was neat to hear that from a third, from an outsider, because we've been working on that very hard to get to that level of a different expectation.
Yeah, and I'm usually when I'm staffing a site, something that's really important to me is finding a team that has the right attitude, and I mean that comes first for me. Definitely, we're looking at skill and we're looking at what your experience is, but someone that fits within our culture and has a great attitude, and because that's really what we're trying to achieve at the end of the day is making our residents happy and being in line with our culture.
When you start to think about the standards of your standards for a property, your standards for a team, how do you communicate those things? And I'd love for you to also jump in with this piece too. When it comes to when we look at properties and we say, here is the standard for resident care, here is the standard for property care, what does that mean for y'all? What vision are you setting forth before your people?
Aim high.
Yeah,
Aim really high.
Yeah. But talk about why. Like what does that mean
we are providing homes for people. It's such an important. What we do is so important. We're essential, and we have to provide the best service to our people. I don't care if it's an A asset, if it's a B asset, a C asset. That doesn't matter. We need to provide the best service to our people. They're cutting probably the biggest check that they cut to us every month, and we're providing their home. So setting the bar high and making sure that all of our teams understand, how important it is to make their experience the best it can be. I mean, that we're in this business, and we need to provide great housing and great customer service to all the people that we deal with on a daily basis.
Absolutely. You want to run it. You want to be able to live there yourself.
Yeah.
You want to be proud of it, that if your mom showed up, you're going to be proud that you run this and you live there. I've worked for companies before that when the owner comes in town, everybody stays there until 10 p.m. the night before, and we're polishing rocks. We are making everything look right. And I tell folks all the time, and have since we started with Madeira, this culture's been present even prior to me, but Charlie shows up a lot, and we're not going to prep for that. We're going to be ready for Charlie at any minute, because we're going to be ready for that next potential move-in at any minute. So we don't have that fear. We want it to look perfect every day, and especially in this market, but always, retention is everything.
Yeah.
And so if we're not providing a great experience to where they love us and they want their friends to come move here too, our business is going to be that much harder every day. And I think our folks understand that very well. I mean, we're human. Sometimes, we're going to mess up here and there, but we're always aiming high for that.
Like on a make ready, if you were to ask me, what's the perfect make ready? One that I would move into.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we tell our teams, Make sure that when you walk out of there, it's a unit that you would move into yourself, because that's what someone else is going to do, and you're providing that for them.
Yeah, one of my favorite things since being a part of this with you guys is just been there is a transient feel because of renewals and leases that's always there. But there's also this, like, this is someone's home.
Yeah.
And it needs to be their space. And yet they trust you to make certain it is what it is for them to live in. And I'd love for you to speak into this too, either one of you, but when our employees don't necessarily live up to the standard, what does accountability, how do we do that in a way that is appropriate, inspirational, but also still appropriate based upon when it comes to leading teams and making certain we are aiming high? What does that look like? How do we do that well?
Communication.
Okay.
I'll start there. Communication. I think that none of us are perfect, and some people are coming into the industry new, or they may not have experienced this certain particular situation that didn't go as perfect and planned as we wanted it to go. And having respect for that team member and giving them the why behind why it's important because of this.
Yeah.
And then giving them, either training or coaching or different experiences so that they can improve for the next time that they, encounter that situation.
Yeah, I think we all started with sports of some sort, right? And I always liken it to good leadership as like the best coach you ever had. And that's somebody that's going to hold you accountable, but do it in a respectful manner.
Yeah.
And when they see you're missing something, they try to get you that piece that you're missing. And so it's very consultative. It's very much a mentor, a coach. So I think the best teams and the best leaders do that really, really well. And I see that a lot at Madeira. And what I love about the mentor program is, we talked about advancement earlier. At some point, you have to go from I'm a subject matter expert, and it could be very wide, to I'm a knowledge transfer, or I'm going to transfer my knowledge to the next person. When you realize that's your highest and greatest use, you're a leader. And that can come pretty early, but certainly if you really want to do well at the upper leaderships, you have to be able to do that. Otherwise, we can't grow as Madeira, because we would never be able to fill the needs that we have, because we can't do that externally. We have to build that from within. So just know that's when you got your sights set on leadership, that's what you should have your sights set on. How do I transfer all the knowledge that I've gotten to the next set of people? And when you're not quite there, you should be soaking up like a sponge everything you can for knowledge that you can later transfer to others.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
Well, and I think it's important, Cayce and Katy kind of hit on earlier, just about finding people in the right roles, that you are truly understanding that individual. Are they wanting to advance? Are they geared for that extra motivation to, hey, I would like for this position? And so then when, maybe it's not working out in the position that they were in, you're seeing, hey, we're not quite getting there. Understanding the why. Maybe is it something outside, personal that's going on? Because with a company of 600 people, and I know they got plenty of stories. We have plenty of stories since we get to hear about them. you got people that are dealing with a lot, outside of work, and that can have a huge impact on what they're doing at work. And so when it's out of sorts like that, if you understand their character, you say, well, that's just something else is going on. Or it could be that, hey, with some of the processes and changes that we've gone through over the last 5 years with systems. Our department, we completely reorganized how we were set up. We used to be set up where we had a property accountant that did absolutely everything for the property. And that was the way it always was. But with some of the changes that were coming, and then with how we felt we were going to scale, we changed that. Well, when we changed, that got some people on the wrong seats. They were on the right bus still, they were just on the wrong seats. And so we found areas where, hey, this is a better fit for you. And they tended to, really exceed and excel in that area too. But sometimes some of them, they didn't like the change, and it took them a few years. And guess what? Now they're leaders. They are truly leading that group, when at first they didn't want to be at that seat at all. And over time, now, and they're doing phenomenal. Fantastic at it.
You bring up a good point, and I was gonna hit Katie with this earlier. Sometimes people don't know what they want, or they just don't know because sometimes fear will take over. And if you ask them, they'll say, well, I really don't want to do that. Deep down, it's probably a fear of something. So a good leader will also push people to do things that they don't want to do initially. Obviously not without a safety rope, but it's fun to watch people go into the pool and figure out, hey, I can swim. This is pretty good. I know somebody on this panel that doesn't like to be on podcasts, and I think they're doing pretty wonderful. So it's just, at times, you just have to get out of your comfort zone so you don't limit yourself. And good leaders will recognize when people are limiting themselves and push them beyond that, because it's always fear that will hold you back from doing something. But you're right, Andrew. At the end of the day, if something that they're doing is just not satisfying their core, that's going to be a hard role. And you do have to see that and recognize that and say, okay, and you're an awesome asset to us, but you don't seem to be happy. What would you rather be doing? And you can find that. You can find that seat on the bus for the good people. Katie hit on it earlier that it's always attitude, right? You're always hiring for attitude. You can train everything else. You cannot change somebody's attitude. And so if they've got a good attitude and they're willing to put in the work, they can go wherever they want in this industry. There's no barrier. It's not like, oh, you didn't start here, or you started too old, or you're too young. There's none of that. It's the cool thing of this industry.